Hello everyone, and thank you for patiently waiting. My name's Josh from Career Map TV, and I'll be your host today. Today we're joined by Babcock, who are going to go talk to you about everything apprenticeships. We do have a dedicated Q&A section at the end, so please feel free to pop any questions in the chat box as we go through. So without further ado, I'll now pass it over.
Hi everyone, my name's Rob. I'm part of the Babcock recruitment team. We're really pleased to be with you today, and thank you for joining. What we're going to be doing today is I will be giving you a quick whistle-stop tour of Babcock. We then have 3 of our apprentices who will be joining us today. They're currently camera shy, they're staying off camera just for now, but they will be joining us to talk through some of their experiences on our apprenticeship program. And then at the end, we will be having my colleague Anne-Marie, who you can see on camera, who will talk to you a little bit around the process of joining Babcock as an apprentice. And then at the end, we'll hopefully leave lots of time for your questions that you can put to us and to our apprentices, so you can get a bit more information around that. So what we've done is we've put a poll in the sidebar there. Very interested to see what your preferences are with regards to where you want to go in your career next. Feel free to fill that in. I'll bring that to a close shortly. But for now, I will quickly walk you through some of the basics with regards to Babcock. So what we're starting with here is our company purpose, which is creating a safe and secure world together. This is what we do as an organisation. It's centred around the work that we do to deliver work in delivering national security and infrastructure, and our work within civilian markets as well. As it says on the screen here, we're a company of over 26,000 people situated around the world, and everyone here, regardless of your role, whether you're working in recruitment like me, or whether you're an engineer or project manager in any one of our specialist functions, what you do here matters. You're all delivering against that purpose, contributing to the work that we do within defence, within energy, within infrastructure, and providing really vital services that the UK and our allies rely on. In terms of what those services are, you'll see some of these on the screen here. Our business is split into 4 different sectors: marine, nuclear, land and aviation. And what I've done is try to distill what some of the specific services that we deliver are against those various sections. I won't run through all of those. This would be a very long presentation if I did, but just to pick some out. So firstly, we do design, build and support for warships. So up in Scotland, in Rosyth, we are building from scratch the new T-31 frigates, whereas in places like Devonport, we kind of repair, maintain, refit existing warships and frigates for the Royal Navy so that they can continue on their mission. We also do the same for Royal Navy submarines, again in Devonport and up in Clyde in Scotland. We look at nuclear new build and commissioning services within civil nuclear. We repair and overhaul military vehicles, everything from quad bikes all the way up to tanks and to armoured people carriers. We look after the equipment and repair for the London Fire Brigade, for the Metropolitan Police. We also help to train pilots both here and in France. We do air ambulance services in certain parts of the country as well, piloting helicopters to those that need it. We work with the Red Arrows and with Hawk aircraft, maintaining those, and lots of other things beside that we could literally talk about this all day. But the key message here is that when you join Babcock, you're not just joining one specific part, you're joining the whole of Babcock, and with that comes a lot of variety, a lot of opportunity. Even if you join us in one part of the country, there's quite often more than one sector operating there. So we look to deliver that variety to our apprentices and to all our employees, so that they can realise their potential and move up and into the business and other parts. Also worth mentioning that within the civil nuclear sector, we operate as Cavendish Nuclear. And as it says here, providing solutions across clean energy, defence and civil decommissioning. If you join Babcock, you are also part of if you join Cavendish Nuclear, you're also part of Babcock. They are one and the same, although in some offices the branding might be different, but we are all one business, 2 brands, 1 company and 1 team. What you see here is some of our key sites. The map is quite small. Sorry about that. I should have blown that up a little bit more. But in terms of some of the key sites to mention, so Clyde and Rosyth I've already mentioned. They are some of our key marine and nuclear sites. So in Rosyth we are building the T31. Our liquid gas equipment business is based there. We also are decommissioning nuclear submarines. Clyde, we do a lot of work with active submarines, kind of in the kind of northwest and Midlands. So Warrington and Leicester are 2 of our key sites for Cavendish Nuclear, and we recruit lots of apprentices there. Bristol is one of our engineering hubs, where lots of our sectors operate from, and where I'm based today, up here, this is Ashton House in the centre of Bristol. And then down in Plymouth, Devonport is probably our largest site, where, again, lots of different sectors operate from. Nearly 4 miles of waterfront there, where we help to look after parts of the dockyard and also do lots of repair, maintenance, and manufacturing as well. We do manufacture vehicles and other pieces of technology for our clients. And also on here you can see the global map. So around 70% of our business is based here in the UK, but we also operate around the globe with allied countries. So Australasia is one of our other large locations, Canada as well, France and South Africa, but there are other countries that we also provide services into, even if we're not necessarily based there as well. And as we said, we are a global company with a global footprint. Moving on to our principles, so you've heard a little bit there around what we work on, and our principle is how we work on that. So whenever you step into a Babcock facility, you're going to see these printed on the walls. You're going to see this on our intranet sites. This is how we expect everyone to work together. And you can read those on the screen. Be curious, be kind, be courageous, think outcomes, collaborate and own and deliver. And this dictates how we work together. I think lots of people feel this stuff very personally and are drawn to this. And this is exactly how we're all expected to work with one another. So that's a very, very brief kind of introduction to Babcock. I'm going to bring an end to the poll that we started earlier. As we can see here, we have some people debating between to kind of degrees and an apprenticeship, which we would expect. Lots of people who just want to do an apprenticeship, which is amazing to hear, because we've got a lot of apprenticeships that we look to fill. Some people looking to go straight into jobs. And when it comes to apprenticeships, what is an apprenticeship? So it is for those who don't know, it is a mix of both training and work. So when you come into to an apprenticeship, you are picking up the skills and the qualifications you need in order to do that job. Generally, within the first year, you spend quite a lot of time with a training provider, usually a college, sometimes your university, and you are starting to pick up those skills that you need to get going. And then as time goes on, the dynamic shifts and you spend more time on the job, doing the job, working alongside experienced engineers, project managers, business administrators, to pick up the rest of the knowledge and experience that you need. When your apprenticeship finishes, what will happen is that you will then finish your qualification. There will then be a review. And then after that point, you are then a full-time employee of Babcock and continue on your career journey. So it's a really great way of picking up the skills and qualifications you need in order to do a job. It's not just open to people leaving school. It's open to people of any age. You can start an apprenticeship any point in your career, and as I said, it's a really great way to start in a company and to set yourself on a great path and a great career. Now, in terms of what you can do within Babcock, we've broken it down into these 4 different disciplines. So when you go on to earlycareers.babcockinternational.com, which is our early careers website, you'll see these kind of 4 tabs in terms of how we list our programs. But it's business and project management, science, engineering, which encompasses trades as well, so people who work on tools, and then technology is one where we're increasingly finding more demand within the business for that, particularly here in Bristol. But yes, certainly technology is a fast growing area within the business for that. And when we started our campaign back in November, obviously we run these every year, but we had around 65 different apprenticeships. We are around about that same number now, in terms of what's available to you. But on screen here, you'll see some of the running at the moment. So engineering trades is one I've mentioned, but you can look at engineering design. You can look at being a vehicle technician. We have customer service, cybersecurity, like a real variety. And these are always changing. The profile of what we recruit for changes over time. But what doesn't change is that we are always recruiting for apprentices. The apprentices are the lifeblood of our business. We know the value that they bring. It's a great way to get people started in our business, and we are fully committed to continuing to offer these. In terms of what you need for an apprenticeship, so they are broken into 3 broadly. So advanced or foundation apprenticeship, as it's called in Scotland, higher apprenticeships or modern apprenticeships, and then finally degree and graduate apprenticeships. For the advanced and foundation ones, generally you need to have a number of GCSEs. Usually you will need both maths and English for that. And for certain other programs, you will require specific qualifications. So for example, for some of our programs, you might need physics, or you might need another technical focus, GCSE or National Fives. But yeah, that's the kind of lowest one, the lower level one that we offer. Higher and modern, that's the one where if you have A levels or higher grades, then you can then start to think about a higher or modern apprenticeship. And then finally, degree and graduate apprenticeships require GCSEs and A levels. And the great thing about those is that you do actually go on to qualify for degree level qualifications, sometimes studying at university as well. But you do need higher kind of qualifications within those to do that. So that's the kind of the broad mix that we do. Generally, kind of advanced and foundation apprenticeships focus on kind of the more administration focused ones, or the trades that we offer across our site. So people such as fitters, fabricators, welders and such. Higher and modern tends to focus on the kind of more the engineering space, and then degree and graduates go higher still with some real specialist kind of engineering roles that we offer there. So that's broadly what you need for an apprenticeship here. And lastly, bringing my segment to a close so we can get to the good stuff, which is talking to our apprentices, is why you should choose Babcock. Now, here are some of the great reasons why we think you should consider an apprenticeship here. So firstly, as we mentioned, we are very focused on our purpose of creating a safe and secure world. You know that all the work that you do here serves a true purpose and a true benefit to society, hope everyone who joins that here feels that, and they know what they're delivering and what it's for. The other thing is the variety and responsibility that you get as part of this. You're not here to make cups of tea. You are here to learn. You will pick up experience. Our apprentices work on all of our key projects. They are at the centre of it, working alongside the rest of our teams to deliver those. And as I said, we really know the value of apprentices, and that they form a key part of our business. Another thing is that a lot of our work is based in defence, and we've got some really long contracts. So there's a lot of stability when it comes to joining Babcock. To give you an extreme example, some of our submarine contracts last for 50, 60 years plus. You could literally spend your whole career working within one contract. So, within that, the stability gives you a platform to build your career and progress, and that's great for some people. Also, working here at Babcock, you will work undeniably on some really exciting engineering and manufacturing projects, either, as I said, on the front line within an engineering or trade role, or supporting those people through things like cybersecurity, IT, project management, business management. So it all contributes to that. Going to see some of these places, like I have within the business, going to see a frigate being built, going to see a tank being worked on, knowing about the technologies that we deliver to our clients. They are kind of large scale, and in some cases small as well, but they are all really exciting challenges that we, and helps us solve problems for our clients. And lastly, just around apprenticeships themselves, I think they're fantastic. You're earning as you're learning. There's no debt at the end of it. And once you qualify and pass a review, you are then in a permanent role within the business and can continue on your journey. So that's why we say, why Babcock? So to hopefully underline these points, what I'd like to do now is introduce you to one of our apprentices. And the first person to speak is my colleague Ella. So Ella, hopefully your Wi-Fi has held out and you are on the call. Here she is. There we go. Fantastic. So there we go. So Ella, talk us through your apprenticeship and your experience so far.
Yes, so hello everyone. I'm Ella Ayres and I am a mechanical design apprentice. So I'm based in the Cavendish Nuclear, so civil nuclear sector of Babcock, and I'm based at the Leicester office. So before coming into Babcock, I was doing my A-levels. So I did 3 A-levels in physics, maths and product design, and I completed them in 2022. So before moving into Babcock, I took a year out and worked. So I worked as a supervisor for Timberland. Don't know if any of you have bought some shoes from there before, maybe. And then I joined Babcock in September 2023. So the program I'm on is a level 5, and that's classed as a high-level design apprentice program. So I've had many different highlights so far, and I've been here for nearly 2 years now. But one of my big ones was being able to go on a visit to Morocco with college. And I've attached some photos below just there. And that was to try and understand the different applications of engineering around the world. And I found that really valuable towards my apprenticeship. I definitely would have had that opportunity without completing it. So my apprenticeship scheme so far, I've been on 3 separate placements. My first one was based in the design office. And this is to learn all my basic design skills and the fundamentals to do my role. My placements last for 6 months, but I do believe they vary between different apprenticeship schemes. So my second placement was procurement and supply chain, and that's trying to understand how the business functions in regards to suppliers and buying and selling goods, etc. And then I did that for another 6 months, and then my current placement, which is production engineering. So I'm based at the manufacturing site and I'm learning all the different production processes. So the future for my apprenticeship program, I've still got 2 more years left. So that will be to complete the last bit of my qualification, and then hopefully to progress onto the degree. So my level 5 will take me out, and then I can complete my degree by adding 2 more years of education on top of that. And then hopefully to gain a bit more business-wide experience too. Some other things I do on the side of my role is I'm a STEM ambassador. So we go out to a lot of different schools and advertise apprenticeship schemes and get involved with the community. It's a big thing for ESGs. So it's a really, really important part of my role as an apprentice. And I love doing that aspect because it gives back to what you've achieved in the company so far too. Another thing I've done is I've attended a few business events. So that top picture there is when I attended the Babcock Army vs Navy rugby match last year. So I helped assist with the running of that programme, and it was a brilliant day out. Got lots of involvement and got to see lots of different areas of the business that I didn't get to see before. And finally, I've attended the Nuclear Industry Association annual dinner. And that was something I did in December last year. And I managed to attend with Cavendish, and we were able to look at all the different achievements in nuclear over the last year. And that was an incredible opportunity to be able to attend. So I think there's definitely some amazing opportunities out there. And the apprenticeship scheme has given me so much so far. So hopefully you found that useful and given you a bit of a brief insight into civil nuclear.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And just to underline one of the points that you made there. So when it comes to the level of apprenticeship that you take within the business, it doesn't have to be the end. So it's not unheard of for apprentices to come in at one level, but also to study a second, maybe sometimes even a third apprenticeship over the course of their a career. Some of our roles do require a degree, and where we can and where it's appropriate, we do support our own employees to go through apprenticeships to get them to the level they need to in order to progress. So yeah, important to underline that one. And so yeah, great. So thank you, Ella. So we'll move on. If you hold on though, because I've got a question for you and the other apprentices once this segment is finished, and I'm sure there will be questions from the audience as well that we may call upon you to answer. So we're going to move on to Felix now, and he's already on the call. There we go.
So excited! I just couldn't help it. All right, hello everyone. How are we doing? My name's Felix Smart. I'm a level 6 project management apprentice. So I'm with Mission Systems, which I don't know how you define Mission Systems, Rob. We sort of like it just a support unit, almost.
So it's a part of our business. So it's part.
Yeah.
It's part of our business, technically part of marine, but I think marine emission systems is an interesting one because it kind of works with and supports other sectors as well. So it's a really interesting part of our business that
100%.
Yeah, doesn't necessarily, we wouldn't call it a sector as such, but yeah, no, it's
like the secret fifth sector.
Yes,
like sort of in the middle of everything. So I did English, literature, maths, and history at A levels way back in 2019. I then went to uni, I know, and I studied strategy, intelligence, and security. So it's like international politics. But then I sort of knew I wanted to be in the defence sector, and I aligned myself with Babcock very much. So I opted for the apprenticeship scheme because I didn't know anything about project management. I had no experience in that sector. I didn't even know what project management was until I applied. And I joined in September, so I've only been here four or 5 months. I've been absolutely loving it, to be fair. If you go next slide, please, Rob. I can sort of talk through everyone's burning questions. So what I've done so far, on my first placement, I've been with Fluid Power and Controls, which is like a weapons team. So I've been doing everything from procurement to scheduling to stakeholder management. I've done several STEM events. So we're currently planning a STEM event at Babcock for some year 10 students. And I attend university through UE every Tuesday. We do 9 to 5 lessons, and that day is just booked off from work. So I'm in work Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but Tuesday I'm at college. So what actually is project management? I would sort of define it as like a support role. So we support our engineers. We help keep schedules. We help assign tasks. We help pass certain documentation on. And we get involved in procurement activities, so actually getting our engineers the resources they need to do the jobs they need to do. I think it's a super important role that you get a very good view of the overview of projects, and you can really see how you and your team are making an impact. And it's nice to see that your help actually meaning something. So we do offer remote work, or hybrid work is mostly isn't it? So
depends on the role, but depends
on the role. So I've been very lucky that I am hybrid in my role. I know some roles aren't, and some roles are more remote than mine are. So I'm required to go in once every 3 weeks for a team day, and that is it. So I can make a real impact from home, which is like a very nice thing that the company lets us do. In terms of the college work, we do a part-time degree. So we have 2 assessments a semester, which is very manageable. I'm only in my first year, so I say that now. And we get to build up our portfolio, build up our work experience, and hopefully that'll lead me on to do a degree or get my degree and integrate myself into the wider business while gaining that work experience to know that I can progress myself even further. So is it worth it? As someone who's done a degree and the apprenticeship, I would 100% say the apprenticeship. It gives you so much more in terms of you actually have work experience. You don't need work experience going in. you get the work experience while you do the job, and it's real meaningful work that I can go to work and say I'm proud of what I've done today, and it's helping me gain skills and qualifications, and you get paid. So it's a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, just to pick up on one of your points there, you mentioned around kind of agile working and flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be different for every role within Babcock. So what we say is that every role is able to embrace its own version of agile working. So for example, Felix is a project manager, so he can be a lot more flexible in terms of where he does his work. Whereas if you are, say, working as a welder or a fabricator or in some engineering roles, there will be the expectation and the need for you to be on site. But within that, there will be levels of flexibility,
100%.
Changes in kind of, we can look at things like when you start your shift. We can look at kind of compressed working weeks. On some sites, for example, I'll mention Rosyth again, they work a 4-day working week, so they compress their working week into 4 days. In other sites, it could look completely different. So within all of our job adverts, we will kind of let you know what that looks like. So when you go to the website, we've put as much information there as possible. So, depending on what you apply for and what you're interested in, there will be different levels of how much time you'll need to spend on site or in the office. So do check that out.
Yeah.
There we go.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Thank you, Felix. And we're going to move on to our last apprentice now. So Millie, welcome to
Hello.
Take it away, Millie.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Millie. I am 21 years old and I'm a vehicle technical apprentice here at Walsall Babcock Vehicle Engineering. So a little bit of background before I started my apprenticeship. I was actually the COVID-19 year of GCSEs, which meant I left with all of my predicted grades rather than taking any exams at all, which, as you can imagine, if any of you guys actually went through that, you kind of left with not very much direction, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So to fill those kind of 2 years, I actually ended up taking a level 3 diploma in veterinary science. So I was working with animals, working with their behaviour, their health, and studying their genetics as well. Left with that. That was a great experience. But again, I think that industry was kind of feeling the effects of COVID still, and there were no jobs in that industry sector at the time. So just to earn a bit of money, I ended up in hospitality. So I worked in a little local pub to me, and then I actually ended up working in a very posh hotel here in the Midlands. I served some celebrity clients, which was a great experience. And that job really helped to kind of build my people skills, my organizational skills. Meeting hundreds of people a day, it really is a tough job, but it's character building. I'd say it's character building. And then, I started looking for apprenticeships because I kind of fell out of love with hospitality. It was paying the bills, but it wasn't engaging my brain. So I started looking for an apprenticeship as a way back into education, but also to work. And I found my Babcock Apprenticeship, and I haven't looked back since. So I started that in September 2023, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far. So part of my role here, I work on our Babcock GLV. So this is our alternative replacement for when our army decide to replace the Land Rover fleet. So we're currently working on them. They are currently in development. We've got quite a few concept vehicles. And part of my role is just to service those. I've designed some CAD assemblies. One of my assemblies is actually in the vehicle now, which was a proud moment to see that in there. We do research, we do testing, we do 3D scanning and data collection. All of that is really important for developing these vehicles, and hopefully one day we might see the army using these as part of their fleet. Another thing that I've worked on is our Land Cruiser 300 armoured civilian vehicle. So these are just a standard Land Cruiser 300 that we then armour, and then they are sent out to very important people in the world to protect them from whatever the world might throw at them. So part of that, we strip all the Toyota parts from the vehicle. We then fabricate and fit new parts to make that an armoured machine. I've wired up bespoke electrics, so that might be some high-tech equipment for what the customer needs, or just any standard parts that we fit in, and then quality checking and testing as well to make sure those vehicles are good. If they happen to be sold, they can go out the door and we know they're protecting people. One great experience I have had as part of this apprenticeship, so I not only get to work on the tools during the day and design processes, I also got put onto a presentation that I went to London and presented to our senior leadership team and actually the CEO of our sector, which was a great experience. It was a fabulous building, as you can see on that picture. And although it was quite scary presenting to people so senior, it was a great opportunity to do something different to my kind of day-to-day job. And yeah, it enabled me to network within the company to see how big we actually are. And we went out for some celebratory drinks afterwards in London, which was really nice. Yeah, my job is really quite varied. One thing I will say, an apprenticeship is really what you make it. So although on paper I'm a technician, if opportunities get presented to you and you are able to do them, absolutely take them, because it's only going to add to your CV, add to your portfolio, and a company like Babcock that enables you to do that is really where you want to be.
Fantastic. So I've got two questions for you.
Yeah.
And actually for the other apprentices as well. So firstly, who was the most famous person you met whilst working for the hotel?
Ooh, there was a couple of footballers for local Midlands teams. So now I'm an Aston Villa fan myself. So when we had footballers that came in that weren't from that team, I wasn't as interested. We had, who was it? I think Reece James was in once. And then we had quite a few reality TV stars, I'll be honest. They came to the hotel with their phones out, social media, videoing the food and everything. So again, I wasn't too fussed about them, but all of my colleagues always made a fuss. I always made a fuss. It was my job. But yeah, and then we had a lad baby in as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had
the sausage roll.
Yeah, they did ask. We didn't have any.
There we go. Fantastic. Second question is, and this is for Felix and Ella as well. So one of the things I'm really interested in is when it comes to, you being quite early in your careers, and, Babcock is a large organization, kind of lots of engineers, large facilities, how did you experience coming into that workplace? Like, what was it like for you when you did that, and how were you supported?
Who wants to go first?
You've spoken first, Felix.
All right, I'll start. I would say, to be honest, the integration between like non-working life and then like Babcock life was like very seamless. Like, I was very lucky that I've got a very supportive team, and they do, you do come in. There are no expectations that you know anything. Like, you will be walked through everything. They will have appropriate levels of responsibility that will only increase as you learn on the job. So I think, even now, like 4 months in, I feel welcome, and I feel like people think I'm useful, if that makes sense. Like, you're treated with respect, and you're given purpose and responsibility, but not at a level where it's like, this is too much, but just at that right level, I feel, where like you are looked after. Yeah, I'd say that it's good. It's great. I don't know how to finish this answer. So yeah. Thoughts?
I'd second that. I was going to say it's such a welcoming environment, and everyone always wants to help you. So no question is a daft question. Everyone will help you, and you can go around and if they don't know the answer, they'll find someone that does know the answer for you. So very understanding, very welcoming, and they want you to be part of the team. Definitely.
Yeah, I think I can definitely echo what the guys said. Again, no question is a silly question. You won't get your hand held through everything in like a patronizing way, but I think, again, what Felix said was bang on. Appropriate levels of responsibility, definitely. And I find that a lot of the work that get given to apprentices of all levels is engaging. It's interesting. You really can get your teeth stuck into it. So yeah.
And it normally is work it's been there for a while and it's needed doing, but no one's had the time to do it. So you come in and you're genuinely a useful asset, and they go like, "Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant, you got it done!" Like,
An outside mind is always good, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Coming in fresh mind, you can get some really good ideas out of it.
Great, thank you all. So what we'll do now is, so Anne-Marie, who's on the camera here, she's just going to walk us through the last section, and then we'd love to hear some more of your questions that we'll hopefully dedicate as much time to. So start thinking about what you might like to ask us and the apprentices. And but yeah, beyond that, Anne-Marie, what does the process look like for applying for apprenticeship here?
Okay, thank you very much. Really interesting to hear the three apprentices, different levels of apprenticeship, different areas of the business. I think just illustrative really of the massive range of apprenticeships that we have on offer here at Babcock. Obviously, Rob, you illustrated that at the beginning with 65 different apprenticeship options. Now, I can't go through every single one of them because literally that would take another couple of hours on the webinar as well. But I think it's really important for all of you who are thinking about applying for an apprenticeship to really spend your time looking around all of the options that we detail out on the website. They are different. The point that Millie, you just made, and I think the others were all echoing it, an apprenticeship is what you make of it. An apprenticeship, it gives you opportunities. You do different things. You're not pigeonholed in one particular thing. But when you apply for an apprenticeship, you do need to think about, well, what level is it? What are the entry requirements? And what is the nature of the apprenticeship? I mean, Rob, you've mentioned that already, that if you're looking at level 2, level 3, that's England and Wales terminology. If you're in Scotland, that's looking at level 6 or SCQF 6 and SCQF 7. They're the hands-on apprenticeships in the broadest sense of the word. It's about people who are very practical, people who like doing things, who like working with their hands, who like getting into site, working on site. Rob's already mentioned that with some of the apprenticeships, like the one Felix alluded to, you're working in a hybrid way. You're working in a more office type environment, either be that your home office or your working office. But if you're out on site and you're working on equipment, then you're there every day and you're working in a practical way. So think about the type of work you want to do. Think about your own academic background. Broadly, the level 2 and level 3 qualifications will look for GCSEs. SCQF will look for NAT5s, which is basically equivalents. And then there are equivalents. And I've seen a few questions come up already. Is this acceptable? Is that acceptable? Equivalents will be acceptable, but ultimately it needs to equate to that level of qualification. And then for different higher level apprenticeships, be that the level 4s, the level 5s, the level 6s, SCQF level 10s, that will be A levels or higher or equivalent, a T level, for example, or a BTEC extended diploma, that type of level of qualification. And without being too stereotypical, I'd say that the entry level apprenticeships, the 3s and the 6s, that will be someone who wants a practical hands-on role. You are working towards a qualification. So you're not going to escape work forever, as in academic work forever, just because you're doing a practical apprenticeship. But the balance is loaded on the trade that you're learning. It's a trade with a qualification. When you're looking at the higher level qualifications, you are, often at level 6, you're doing a level 6 in England, doing a degree qualification. So that's a lot of work to do a degree and work at the same time. So if you're looking at that, fantastic that you are earning whilst you're learning and you're not paying tuition fees and you are actually earning a decent salary. But please don't think of it as a free degree, because it's not about getting a degree. It's about getting a degree because that is a principal part of your ability to contribute to the business. So it's really important to navigate around the website. Think about you, think about your skills, your aspirations, what you want to do, what you definitely don't want to do. And I'm convinced that out of those 65 different apprenticeships in very many different parts of the country, you will find an apprenticeship that aligns to you. But make sure it's good for you rather than a good apprenticeship that your mum, your dad, your teacher or somebody else has told you ought to be applying for. And think about the location as well, because Rob showed the map of the UK and all of the different sites. I've seen on the chat, people have said, oh, you've got anything in London, have you got anything in Birmingham? Look, when you drill down into the application, you'll see where that apprenticeship is based. Now, that is where hybrid accepted, that is where that job is going to be. So if you're, for example, you're currently living down on the South Coast and you're 16 or 17 years old, and there's a really great apprenticeship, it's based in Warrington, well, think really carefully about that, because that is where it's based. So you are going to need to think about location and how easy it is going to be for you to be based in that location. Now, in terms of the process, it is through the website. So every application that we review is an online application. So don't think that it's going to be, oh, great, you put that up there. So yeah, don't think, oh, I'll just email in recruitment.earlycareers@Babcock International. I'll include my CV. You need to apply through the website. Now, one of the other things I'd say to be aware of when you apply, I know this sounds like I'm your teacher now, but read the questions really carefully, because they're in an application form with the volumes that we're looking at. It's thousands of people apply to Babcock. So there has to be a standardization to the process, okay? So when we're asking questions, there will be some questions which we would say are disqualifier questions. One would, as an example, would be, when you, in order to join us at Babcock, you need to commit to undergoing various security checks, because that's just part and parcel of working in a defense industry oriented company. So you need to click yes to that if you want to be considered. Another disqualifier question will be the unrestricted right to work in the UK. For an apprenticeship, we don't sponsor visas at Babcock. There are residency requirements anyway in terms of drawing down from the levy. So you will be asked a question, which is, do you have the unrestricted right to work in the UK? Now, if you're a UK national, you need to say yes to that. Now, that people may think on the call, what on earth am I talking about? But we've recently had so many applicants who are born and bred in England or Scotland or Wales, and they've been to school here, they've lived here their entire life, and have answered no to that question, and it bounces them out of the process. So just be really careful about reading the questions. Look at the entry requirements. You either have to have achieved it or be on track to achieve it by the start of the program. So we're looking at, obviously, September 2025 in the context of the current year. So we're always essentially looking at the September. So if you are currently studying your GCSEs and you are sitting them this summer, then no, at this actual day, you have not got those qualifications, but you are on track to get them because you're sitting them this summer. Ditto with A levels. If you are applying for a higher level apprenticeship, you will be asked for A levels. I mean, some of the apprentices have explained the A levels that they did. Now, the presumption will be you are doing A levels now because you already have those GCSEs. So it's a have you achieved this and are on track to achieve the other. Again, read the question really carefully. One of the questions that I might be preempting things, Rob, but that came up in the chat was, what if I miss a grade? Well, you won't obviously know that now. If you believe those are the qualifications you're going to get, you're going to apply because you're going to be on track for those. With the range of apprenticeships that we have, any sort of accommodation of people missing grades will have to be discussed at that point. Results day is manic. August is a bit of a crazy month for all of the teams because all of these results are coming out. It may be possible that you could move to another apprenticeship where the criticality of having that particular grade wasn't so important, but that would need to be discussed at the time. And there are also moving feasts. I mean, it was only this week that the government announced a change in the rules around level 2 English and maths qualifications. So just be honest, look at the qualifications. Have I got them? Will I get them? And apply accordingly. When you apply, you will be sifted in the way that I've described against the disqualifier questions and screening questions. And then if you meet the criteria of that, you will be then invited to take part in the online assessments, which are conducted through a market-leading psychometric testing organisation, which is called SOVA. It's really important if you're going to do online tests that they are reliable and that they're valid and they're fair. And that is, you can be confident that the Babcock online assessments meet all of those requirements. That will be, you'll get a link to join that site, and that's what you need to do. No, but there's a timeline in which you need to complete those tests. If you achieve the benchmark score in the test, which is a benchmark above which candidates need to score in order to progress within the application or the recruitment process, then there will be some small gap between you getting an email that says, fantastic, we're really pleased to let you know you passed the online testing process. We are currently in the process of scheduling assessments, and then we will schedule assessments. That's pretty much based on the number that is required for that program and the number who could be assessed. So the better you do in the online testing, the greater the chances of you getting called for assessment. The greater the number of apprentices we need in that part of the business means the greater the number of people we need to bring to assessment. Hopefully that kind of makes some fairly obvious sense. Now, the interview/assessment will vary across our business. All of it is valid, all of it is fair, all of it is reliable. All of our assessments are designed to ensure that we recruit for success, that we recruit people who will be happy, who will thrive, who will enjoy, and who have the potential to succeed in our organisation. Even though, as Rob's already explained, these roles are not restricted to the stereotypical age. I mean, I think others or on this call have already said they did different things. They didn't go straight from classroom to Babcock in many cases. But nevertheless, we are recruiting for potential. If you come in as, for example, a level 3 welder in the engineering trades apprenticeships down at the dockyards in Devonport, you are not being recruited because you already have welding skills. You are being recruited because you have the potential to succeed as a level 3 apprentice, and you happen to be interested in specialising in that particular trade, and our assessors believe that you have the potential to succeed. So everything is around potential. There will be different exercises, there will be different questions that you'll be asked, but it's around behaviours and potential. And it's critically around why you want to be an apprentice. This isn't just a job, right? It is a training. It is a training program. Whatever level of apprenticeship you're doing, it is a training program. You are working towards a qualification. You are building your technical competence and your marketability by gaining a qualification. So you have to think very carefully about why you want to be an apprentice, what your understanding is of the commitment involved in working towards an apprenticeship, because that is pretty much in any part of the business going to be questions that you'll be, or challenges, if you will, that you'll be tested against in the assessment process. And then at the assessment, or after as soon as possible, we will let you know whether you've been successful. I can't be precise about it because, again, dependent upon the numbers that we are looking for, assessments for that area of the business, for that program, may take place over a period of time. In other areas of the business, it may be that there's only 6 apprentices that we need for that particular area. It's a one-day assessment. We can make decisions the day after. But you will be given guidance throughout the processes when you should hear. And then, yes, you need to then, if you've already got your qualifications, fantastic, because you know that if you've got your offer, you're in. There's no variable that's going to come as a curveball in August. And you then go through the contractual process, and you'll need to share evidence of your qualification at the point of joining, skill scans and everything for the education provider. If you are currently studying for the qualification that you need to do this program, to progress into this apprenticeship, then at results day, you will then need to reconnect with the business to confirm that you've achieved the qualifications that were required for that apprenticeship. And then that's a very quick turnaround and a very quick finalisation of any onboarding. And then you'll be joining us in September. And as I hope you've heard from the 3 apprentices here, you can look forward to an amazingly interesting and rewarding career with us at Babcock. Hopefully, Rob, that's given everyone a flavour.
Yes, absolutely. So I know you've covered all this in what you've just mentioned. So thank you, Anne-Marie. What we'd like to do now is we've got 10 minutes left, well, 12 minutes. We'd love to take your questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat and in the Q&A, and we'll attempt to answer those. There's been a few questions around security clearance, and Anne-Marie touched on some of this before. So as we said, every role within Babcock has to go through some level of security clearance because we work in some restricted industries. So, for example, working with submarines, working in nuclear energy. Some people require a much higher level of security clearance. Within that, we will, within the job adverts on the careers site, we will detail what level you need to achieve. And there's also a link to the government website, because it's the government that will that does the vetting, and it will tell you what you need in order to qualify that. But generally, you will need to have been a British resident for a number of years, and for some roles, you do need to have be a British national in order to do it. So do check that. Just had a question there. Is the portal open for applications now? Yes, it is. They're all open for application. So we may add some more as time goes on. But for now, we've got around 60 to 65 roles that you can apply for today. So do check those. So next question is, do you have support for neurodivergent people? So yes, we do, depending on what your needs are. We are a disability confident employer if your needs reside in that area. And we always look to accommodate needs within the recruitment process where we are able to. You'll be able to kind of fill in forms during the process, to kind of flag if you do need support during that, and then we will do what we can to accommodate that. So yeah, hopefully that's answered your question.
And I just add to that, Rob, I think it is really, because I know I work obviously closely with our advisory team, and our advisory team do all the screening. There is a question around a sort of condition or disabilities or similar that need to be accommodated. That's on the application form, but it's just a single question. And often people say, well, I can answer the yes to that, but I kind of need to give a little bit more detail. So please do put that in your cover letter. We don't really use cover letters for much, to be honest, because everything's contained within the application form. But we do read them for the requirements that people may have. So if you need accommodations made for anything in the recruitment process, or you want to flag about the working environment and how that might or might not be compatible with particular accommodations that you might require, please put those in the cover letter, because that is how we will pick it up right at the start of the process.
Thank you. So the next question here, in this, again, this one's for you, Anne-Marie, is what skills are you looking for at assessment centres? Okay,
so it is all about potential. So we're not looking for experience. There may be people who've got experience. Millie, you were talking about work experience, the fact you'd been in the workplace. You were bringing skills of working with other people, working in teams, customer service, delivery, all of that you had that a 16-year-old might not have, because they wouldn't have had that working environment. So we're not basing anything on experience, but it is about potential. And the skills that we're looking for are, the skills that kind of are embedded, I think, within the values about curiosity, willingness to learn, keenness and acceptance to work inclusively with other people, accepting of different opinions, the ability to articulate your thoughts, be brave to articulate your thoughts, be respectful of other people's opinions, have the ability to manage your time effectively. If you're an apprentice, you absolutely do have to manage your time effectively, because you've got work and study to juggle. And that depends upon the apprenticeship. That can be a real pinch point. So those are the skills, those are the attributes, if you will, that I think I would call them attributes rather than skills that we're looking for at an assessment centre, because it is on the combination of those attributes and the motivation to do the job that you will demonstrate that you have the potential to succeed.
And just to throw this question open to Millie and Felix, like how did you find the application process when you tackled that?
I think I don't know about you two as well, but it's a real, like, you go on a true, like, emotional and, like, spiritual, like, you go on a journey with it, because you need to find out like because for me a big driver for this job was passion, right? Like a belief in the industry, a belief in what Babcock do. And I think when you're going through it, you need to think really hard about, like, if you want to represent this company and if this company represents you as well, and if you want to contribute to that society. And I think if you have that in mind, if you keep in mind that you want to do good and you want to help and you want to, like, learn, from this industry and you want to give back to this industry, then I think you'll do very well. But I don't know what the others think. Anyone?
I was going to say, I found the process quite good, to be fair. It was really smooth and it was easy to know where you're at in the process. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was quite good. I don't know, Millie, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I found it pretty simple. Each step was detailed quite well, and you knew where you were at in that process. The company do keep you updated. And then I found, obviously, I'm guessing assessment centres will all be different based on the role. So at mine, we had a few. We had a a dexterity test with a piece of wire, because obviously my job is a practical job. And then we had like some team building, problem solving as well, to see how you could work well as a team. So yeah, it all varied, but actually, as far as application processes go, it was interesting and it all went smoothly. So yeah,
that's what I say. It was very fun. It's so varied.
It was weirdly fun.
It was fun. It is entertaining.
A fun spiritual journey. There you go.
Exactly.
From our apprentices. So the next question here is, after your apprenticeship, how is it decided where you'll be placed? So
I can take this one if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Because sort of like it's not just like at the end of the apprenticeship. I don't know for the other two apprentices, but like as you're put in your first placement, they put you in a department. From there on,
sorry,
yeah, I was just saying at the end of the 4 years, it's a discussion with the company, isn't it? Then about where you want to go and where they think would be best be placed.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, when you apply for an apprenticeship program, you'll be attached to the location that you apply to. So, for example, Bristol, Devonport. Once you finish your program, you will then move into a role that will be based there. That's the general expectation. That's not to say that that can't ever change. So you can move to another location within that sector, or even to a new sector and part of the country entirely. But yeah, generally speaking, general rule of thumb is that you'll be based in the location that you've applied to. So we don't tend to change that much. So hopefully that's answered your question. Next question here is the average duration for an apprenticeship program. So Anne-Marie, I mean, firstly, apprentices, how long are each of your programs?
So my level 5 one is a 4-year program, and that includes the EPA, so the endpoint assessment. So once you complete your apprenticeship, you do an assessment to make sure you're fully SQEP, so suitably qualified for your job role, and then that way you can smoothly go into that position once you're finished.
Yeah, my level 6 one is 4 years as well, and it's university assessments, and then there's a portfolio which is built over 4 years. So we'll have to get work-based evidence and write something 10 to 15,000 word report over the 4 years based on that. And then it's a 40-minute interview and a 20-minute presentation on that. And then we get the degree and then the apprenticeship as a qualification.
Mine's kind of a mix. So I do have a portfolio of competency evidence with my work. Mine is 4 years as well, but mine's a level 3. So yeah, you do year 1 is all competency to make sure that you can do the work, you can use the tools safely. And then the other 3 years are... Oh, has everybody just dropped?
Just you and me.
No, I'm here as well.
I'm here.
Okay.
Oh.
Something just happened. But yeah, mine is 4 years, year 1 competency. The other 3 years are just collecting evidence and then the endpoint assessment as well.
There we go.
I think 4 years is pretty typical for a apprenticeship, regardless of level 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are some apprenticeships can be shorter, 18 months to 2 years. But typically the illustration that the apprentices here have given is reflective of Babcock apprenticeships.
But yeah, we are just about to run out of time, unfortunately. I just want to say, thank you for Babcock doing such a professional and great job and didn't put themselves on mute while they were speaking, unlike myself. I just want to say thank you to the audience for asking such brilliant questions as well. I apologise that we didn't get through all the questions, but if you did miss anything on the webinar, it is recorded. can be found at Career Map TV at YouTube. We aim to upload that in the coming week. So yeah, thank you very much to everybody. Again, I do apologise if we didn't get around to your question. And again, thank you for everybody for showing up. It's been an amazing time. All that's left to do is end the webinar, and I appreciate everybody doing such a fantastic job. Perfect.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.